So we just have to make it more of a priority. And before we go to the next item, Seamus, why don't you go ahead and talk a little further on this PTC.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about what's obviously a critical issue. Seamus Murphy, Government Affairs for Caltrain. We run commuter rail service between San Francisco and San Jose and continue south to Gilroy, but the portion of the corridor that we operate on that we also own is between San Francisco and San Jose. That's where our PTC project will be implemented. It's being implemented right now. You mentioned that Metrolink would be the first commuter rail system in the state to have this technology functional. We're right on their heels. We fully expect to meet the 2015 deadline as well. And I think that's a good sign that here in this room we might have the only 2 commuter rail agencies in the country that will actually meet that deadline. It's a signal that we recognize the critical nature of these improvements, and we share the comments that you made earlier, Senator Jackson, that this is something that needs to happen as soon as possible. There are some unique benefits that I wanted to focus on that, of course, will achieve all of the safety mandates that are specified by the federal legislation. There are some unique benefits that Caltrain will also achieve as a result of our project. Some of that has to do with our efforts to increase capacity on the system. We have a system that's seen ridership triple over the last 10 years. We have to address that issue by adding in service. Our peak hour limits are 5 trains per hour currently, and we can't add any more service unless we add tracks or change the type of service that we offer. And what we're looking at is converting to an electrified service that would allow us to add more trains to our peak hour, more frequency to our existing stations, and support more ridership and add capacity. PTC is needed in order to do that. Our system would allow us to run trains more closely together and therefore appreciate that capacity benefit. It's also a condition for the implementation of the type of electric trains that we hope to operate, trains that would give us more acceleration and deceleration advantages and allow us to add that capacity and that frequency. It's also needed to support construction of electrification in general. There's work windows that are created through positive train control that are a part of the federal safety mandate. We can't construct our electrification project on an operating railroad without those work windows being in place. So this technology facilitates all of those improvements that we've been working towards for a long time. And there's one last improvement and benefit that I wanted to focus on. We have 42 at-grade crossings on our system, and we certainly share Mr. Johnson's comments about grade separation. We've worked to separate a number of our crossings over the last several years, and we have a goal of being fully grade separated eventually. When we're adding train service and number of trains per hour to our system, there's obviously an impact at those at-grade crossings from a congestion standpoint, from a safety standpoint, and from a congestion standpoint, more trains means that those gates are down more often. The PTC system that we're implementing has an advantage that would decrease the gate downtime at those crossings. So 28 of our 42 grade crossings would see a reduction in gate downtime compared to our existing service as a result of this project. So those are ancillary benefits, but all secondary, I think, to the safety improvements that absolutely need to be done here. And just lastly, like some of the other projects that have been talked about here, this wouldn't be possible without state resources. Our project is only possible because of the high-speed rail Prop 1A connectivity funding that was made available to agencies around the state. We're using our full share to support this project, and we wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Happy to address any comments or questions.
Thank you very much. Could you tell us what the cost will be to you of putting this PTC program into full operation? It's
a $231 million project.
For how many miles of track?
50 miles.
And as I understood your testimony, by putting this project, the service into place, the PTC service, that it also helps you with the electrification process. It serves many functions in addition to safety.
Correct. Yeah, we can take our existing diesel service from 5 trains to 6 trains an hour. It's needed to support the electrification program, which will support even more frequency and capacity. And then eventually it's needed to support the blended system with high-speed rail, where we would operate 6 Caltrain trains in addition to 4 high-speed rail trains every hour in each direction.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Senator. Paul Dyson, President of the Rail Passengers Association of California.
Why did I know you'd be here?
And in view of the limited time, let me just throw some one-liners at you. First of all, thank you for setting this hearing up. We very much appreciate your work on this. Safety. Number one for us is grade separations. We're very concerned that it's the cause of a high number of accidents happen at grade crossings. Positive train control is great, but I think there's the idea that you just went out and bought a Garmin and stuck it in the cab of the locomotive. It's far more complex than that, and it's going to take a lot of fine-tuning to make it work properly. So that's going to be a long time coming, but OCTA has done a great job on grade seps. The JPAs, a lot of fine words spoken today, but we think the jury's still out. I'm sorry to be cynical and to inject a sour note, but we've got a lot of experience in Southern California of the JPAs, Metrolink, and the other agencies not working together. You go to Oceanside today, you still got 3 different ticket machines for 3 different rail services out of the same station. It's not good enough. We hope that the new JPAs will work together. We hope that this committee and the state will hold their feet to the fire to make sure that that happens. Modernization. Senator Bell, we really appreciate your points. We believe in electrification. New diesel locomotives are going to be very expensive, and we recommend that you look at after treatment for the existing locomotives, which can bring them up almost to the same grade, and hybridization of existing locomotives, so that they act like a maximum Prius and save fuel and reduce emissions. User-friendly service. We need a universal statewide ticketing system. What we're getting is some regional band-aids. We're the home of Silicon Valley, for goodness sake. We've got to have an electronic ticketing system that works throughout the state, that covers not only the main intercity routes, but also the transit connections. Delivery. We've been 20 years waiting for Coachella Valley service. It's been in the state rail plan for 20 years. 20 years wait for the coast daylight. Now they're talking about another 7 years it'll take to get the Coachella Valley service. We've got to get these delivery times down. It's no good us going out advocating these services to the public and not delivering them. Proposition 1B, 2006, new locomotives and rail cars, still not delivered. It just won't do. Relationships with the freight railroads, we need a high-level discussion. It's no good going one at a time to Union Pacific. We need a high-level discussion for a win-win formula for both freight and passenger capacity. It's all about capacity. And finally, intercity buses. There's a lot of empty seats on intercity trains and intercity buses. There's a lot of fuel being wasted hauling rolling stock around. We need to revisit SB 804 from 1999, and we need to look at a way of integrating these services so that we cover far more towns and small communities around the state by having this option of interlining, or having the small intercity operators acting as feeder services for Amtrak. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Don.
Good afternoon, Chair, and Chair. I am David Schonburnn, Vice President for Policy of the Train Riders Association of California. We support Chairman Bell's SB 9 focus on transformative projects. We would like to see the substantial jump in intercity ridership that will come with much higher speeds. Our latest issue of the California Rail News, which I'll hand you, includes our suggestion for a new east-west exclusive passenger route for ACE and the San Joaquin. It would do far more for ridership than the current ACE Forward proposal to extend down to Modesto. TRAC is discussing ideas for improving the Surfliner corridor. We'll be sharing those with you later in the spring. Our other priority is the Caltrain downtown extension. This project will transform the commute into San Francisco. It is under threat, however, from the city itself, which wants to cannibalize the rail yard, Caltrain's rail yard. While the site is certainly attractive to developers, losing that rail yard could gravely harm Caltrain's operating economics. This proposal is part of a very worrying trend. At the very same time that cap-and-trade funds are being spent to increase rail ridership, cities are pursuing development projects that hurt transit and reduce ridership. You have a very painful example of that right here in Sacramento, where the city, pursuing an arena, moved the Amtrak platforms so far from the station that it's grossly inconvenient for passengers. One person even died in the process of walking to the platform. The Capitol Corridor ridership took a significant hit. The legislature needs to protect transit that have other priorities. On another note, we are concerned that the current structure of cap-and-trade funding forces intercity JPAs to compete with their member agencies for project funds. We urge you to enact an intercity set-aside. Finally, we wish the new JPAs much success as they begin operational control.
Thank you very much.